Hello, I'm Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm going to be doing a first impression video of the brand new Dragonbound renewal, revival, buffs, so to speak, that is happening in Japan at this point in time, or very near future. So, generally speaking, the Japanese server is 2 to 3 months ahead of North America, which means that all these new and exciting things we see now will be coming in about 2 to 3 months' time. So this will give us an opportunity to start saving up our magic stones, because the rare machine will now have numerous new additions to it, as well as more options for trading post, which is all unfortunately very expensive. But this video will be taking a look at all the new cards that are released, as well as looking at the new buffs that are coming to 6-star Godfest exclusives towards the end. So the screen might look a little messier because I'm trying to showcase as much information as possible while having English as well as images at the same time. So directly in the middle is obviously the card I'll be talking about. On the farthest right, towards the very top, is basically just showing you the rare machine lineup for the Dragonbound Dragon Collar and showcasing that there are new cards that have underlined to show that they are new for those respective rarities. And below is kind of the English translations for these given cards in case you cannot read Japanese, such as myself. So I'm going to be going through this card by card, and it's going to be a reasonably long video, but again, I will be including the Reddit links as well as any other appropriate links in the YouTube description down below. So, the Dragonbound Dragon Collar machine is a 10-stone event, and it is arguably the most high-value collab or event to roll in for Puzzle and Dragons. And this is because at the 5-star rarity, it has incredible value through their triple killer awakening cards like number 6, Kiri, and Chazelle. So, if you are new to the game or you never actually rolled very much in here, it is very worthwhile to roll. And even if you only have a couple of the lower rarity cards, it's still worthwhile rolling. So again, this is the highest value event in my opinion. Maybe Monster Hunter can kind of compete, but with these buffs and new additions, it may be a little hard to necessarily keep abreast. So the first new card is Vigo. Name I cannot pronounce probably, most of the names I may not. But basically they got like pretty standard awakening, skill boost, skill boost, skill bind, resist, time extend. Skill charge means that their 13-turn cooldown active skill is charged up significantly faster, and they have physical and healer killer awakening. So double killers are important because if you're facing a spawn with both of those typings, you're able to deal 9 times personal damage. Unfortunately, he's no Kiri, Chazelle, or Kiri number 6 or Chazelle in the sense they get 3 killer awakenings, but it can have some merit. But their active skill is for 1 to reduce enemy defense to 0 and change heart and poison to water. So it is basically like a sexier Balboa style active skill, especially if you're using a water-based heavy team. So it might be challenging to kind of utilize Vigo as a sub itself, because unless you're finding a spawn with physical and healer typings, I can't really think any at the top of my head, it's not going to have that much value. But being able to take away at least poisons and hearts to water can help certain teams that don't necessarily need all 6 elements for activation. So it can be an alternative to Balboa. Not a bad thing to have overall. And then I have so many tabs open. Just make sure I got all the ones in the right order. Dark Light, perfect. So they have double skill boost, time extend, and a bunch of team RCVs. So basically, if this card is a sub on one of your teams, your healing output is going to be significantly higher, which can be a big deal depending on what cards you're actually using. Their active skill gives you a full board unlock and then heals 3 turns of Woken Binds, change fire, jammer, and poison to dark. So basically a single orb changer with hazard removal. Not a bad thing overall. 3 turn of Woken Bind clear, it's reasonable active overall. Unlocking orbs can help as well. So obviously it has best synergy on dark heavy teams. At this point in time, the most dominating dark or primarily dark based team would be Dark Metatron. Did you want to have extra recovery on the team? Maybe. It depends. You actually probably would want to have extra recovery on the team because it does help replenish that 4 times health pool. But again, is this active skill high enough value to really justify? Kind of challenging to really justify in my opinion. Like, it's a decent active, but it's more situational overall. Next is this card here. Omega. Basically, they have 7 combo, some orb enhances, but they have triple co-op boost awakening, which is, I believe, the very first card to ever gain triple skill boost. Sorry, it's triple co-op boost awakening. So basically, anything with 2 or more co-op boost awakenings kind of screams out, we want to use them as a button base for button farming. And this is obviously going to make them have huge amounts of weighted stats. Of course, their actual base attack value is lower, but again, it kind of gets compensated out. The only drawback is that they have a 14-turn base cooldown. They only have 1 skill boost, no skill bind resist, so it might be a little challenging to accommodate certain buttons, but for the most part, it should definitely be doable. Their active skill is for 2 turns, increase the damage based on the number of 7 combo awakenings on your team. So basically, this is a Gemstone Princess style active skill in the sense that it scales your damage boost according to the number of awakenings on your team. Now, skill boosts tend, like carrot boosts, skill boosts, and those tend to be the most common ones, but time extends are also becoming more common. Now, 7 combo, it really depends on your team composition as well, but it definitely can keep abreast with Carrot and Sheen gemstone-based active skills. So gives you multiple options, not just a button-based card, but also a powerful burst inherit potentially. So it can be pretty useful overall. Don't know why there's a big black thing on my screen. It's okay. I don't know why. And this is alpha, so basically it's the same as Omega's active skill, and their awakening just changed to multiple L's. So, oh, sorry, blah. Sorry, this is a brand new card. It's alpha. There's Omega, there's alpha. They look kind of similar to me. So they have changed all orbs to fire, wood, and heart for 2 turns, plus 1 combo count. I don't know why this happened. I want to try and see if I get rid of that black box. There we are. Okay. Change active skills to change all orbs to fire, wood, and heart, and then for 2 turns, plus 1 combo count. So basically a Verdandi style board changer with plus 1 combo count. Do we really need plus 1 combo count? It's kind of hard to really justify, unless you're really wanting to use Verdandi style active skills, then yes, this would be definitely a useful inherit because you're getting the extra benefit as well as providing skill delay resist protection if you just want that style of board changer. But otherwise, it's not necessarily that amazing because the cooldown is significantly longer. Like Verdandi, I think, is 8 turns and this is 13. Or is it really worth 1 combo count for 5 more turns on your active skill? Hard to really say. Leader skill is fire attack times 4, wood times 2 health. Yeah, nothing that special. Double typing restrictions is challenging. Alrighty, so this is Valeria, and they are animated card. They also have 2 different split evolution forms, so we're going to be basically looking at them one at a time. So in this form here, they have 6 skill boosts, as well as this special new voice animation. So voice animation basically, or voice awakening, basically means that when you use an active skill, there will be some voice tagline to go along with it. It's a completely optional thing. It's the last awakening, so you don't have to awaken. There's, I believe, an option to turn it off. But who doesn't want to hear like people yell out funky things when you use active skills? I probably would. So with 6 skill boosts, we've actually surpassed Whale Door levels. But then again, this is a 7-star card from the Dragonbound Dragon Color event. So good luck actually acquiring this card in at least large amount of quantities to really justify like utilizing over a Whale Door. Their active skill gives you for 3 turns 2 times RCV and then a full board shuffle. So basically the board gets reset. So if you had locked orbs, they basically all the orbs are removed and a brand new board sky falls down. You can get combos off there. It can trigger leader skills. It can trigger skill charge. It can trigger like just basically your cards gaining 1 turn of active skill charging. So again, it's a situational active skill overall, but it's more so you want those 6 skill boost awakenings. Their leader skill is fire and light time for 5 times, time extend plus 2 seconds. 4 more colors reduces, yeah, that's terribly low amount of damage output. You're basically just a big skill boost stat stick. And then the other form, you have full bind immunity, a skill boost, skill bind resist, and then 4 team health bonus awakenings. So you have massive amounts of team health if you stick this card on your team, but the problem is you have that same kind of awkward active skill. This active skill is not going to be that great, unfortunately, for most traditional teams that I can honestly foresee. Maybe if you're really desperate, like you can inherit it on teams that have no recovery-based multiplier, but again, that's really situational for the most part. Leader skill is 4 colors, 7 times, and then 3 times on top of that. That's 7 combos. That's actually a massive leader skill, in all honesty. That's a huge leader skill. Wow. Because, like, yes, you don't have a health multiplier, but with all those team health boost awakenings, you actually have quite a high amount of effective health. You have 9 times recovery with 7 or more combos, so it's not like Riku where it's unconditional. You actually have to match consciously, but hey, 9 times recovery means you match as basically any number of poison orbs, you're not going to really die. And then 21 squared. What is 21 squared? I don't even know. 21. Well, 20 times 20 is 400. It's over 400 times attack damage. Huge amounts of damage output. So basically you need to stick on 7 combo awakening cards, ideally with an emphasis on health. And you basically just enjoy this massive multiplier when you hit rainbow activation and 7 or more combos, which should definitely be doable. So I think this would be a pretty fun leader. And if you're fortunate enough to roll this card and you don't have any super stellar leader, this would definitely be a great card to own overall. Next is this girl here, Rupture. Alrighty, so again, this is another split evolution form. Like, they have 2 different forms possible. So in this green dark form, they've got 6 TPAs. Is that necessary? We'll say yes, it is. Like, you have massive amounts of TPA damage, but the big amazing part is they have 3,300 base attack. Now, Sheet has 5 TPAs, but significantly less base attack. So Rupture is going to be dealing spectacular amounts of damage of a connected 4 match. So let's see if they have relevant leader and active skill. So their active skill is for 1 turn, Void, Attribute, Absorb, Shield. So basically color absorb. So things like Machine Goemon, Machine Hera, Noah Dragon for just the color absorb part, not the damage void. Those things get ignored. So this is becoming a bit more of a common active skill, but it's still modestly rare overall, so it has some value here. And then their secondary effect is change fire and jammer to wood, water and poison to dark. So double orb changer. Essentially, you're basically removing all hazards and condensing your board down to 4 elements with an emphasis on extra wood and extra dark. Can have certain applications there, but just as an orb changer, it's actually pretty decent value in terms of active skill cooldown, and having the color absorb on top of that is pretty nice overall. Their leader skill is matching 2 wood combos, gives you 4 times attack, 2 times recovery, attacking with wood dark, reduces damage taken, and then 4 times. So I'm guessing 25%, which means 43.75% damage reduction, which is actually not bad when you're matching 2 colors. And then 16 times 16, 15 times 15 is 225, so a bit more than 225 times damage. So pretty high multiplier, but the fact that if you match TPAs, your damage explodes out to ridiculously high amounts of levels with that base attack value. The only drawback is you're obviously going to be having some issues with stalling because you have to match basically 2 woods and 1 dark to get your full multiplier. Like, you can heal, but you have to match 2 woods. Like, it's a lot of orb hungriness overall, so I feel like she's going to be a bit more situational and niche by comparison for the most part. Do I have the other? Nope, I don't know why I don't. There's no link here. So here is the other evolution form. It does show still here, perfect. Basically, she is animated in both her forms, which is pretty cool in my opinion. So in this other form here, has double skill boost, and then she has a follow-up attack. She's voice animated. And then she has 3 of these increased damage awakenings when below 50%. So that's a large amount of damage output potentially when you're low health. So let's see if her leader skill has synergy. Her active skill is the exact same. Her leader skill here is wood dark 4 times, bonus time extend, reduce damage by half. So basically it's kind of saying, like, if you match wood and dark orbs and you hit many combos, which you can with the bonus time extend, you have 16. Again, it's more than 225 times attack. So not bad. Reduced damage by half, though, is a big deal. So basically now you have 75% damage reduction with double leaders. So if you can hit 8 or more combos, which is doable maybe half of the time on a 6x5 board, you are somewhat immortal in the sense that not many things are going to kill you at that kind of effective health. So this can make a big difference. So being low or health can be challenging to get into that range, but when you do, her own personal damage takes off. But again, usually 7 combo cards are going to be the way to go for sub-filling. She comes with her own follow-up attack, so that can solve some issues, can be useful as a potential sub for dark follow-up attack. All right, I like the animated parts. I'm not going to show the animated parts, though. Okay, so again, another brand new 7-star card. Like, Gung Ho really loves 7-star cards for the most part. Okay, so basically their awakenings are 4 7 combo awakenings. So let's do some math. 4 squared. So 1 7 combo is 2, 2 7 combo is 4, then 8 times personal damage, 16 times personal damage. That's bonkerishly high. Like, that's insanely high. Like, it has no typing restriction. Like, even like double killer cards are only good against that particular spawn, and it's only 9 times. So this is absolutely ridiculous, the amount of bonus damage potential. Obviously, to compensate, there's no other awakenings, but hey, you have a water card that's smashing for amazingly high amounts of damage. Their active skill is unlock all orbs, change all orbs to fire, water, and hearts. So basically like an Erd style board or Weld style board changer, and then 1 turn plus 1 combo count. Okay, like you're basically spending 3 more active skill turns for 1 more combo. Is that worth it? Debatable overall. Leader skills fire and water cards, all stats 1.5 times. So that's 2.25 times health and recovery right there. Attacking with fire and water reduces damage taken 6 times. So 2.2 times 6, it's more than 12, more than 144 times attack damage. Not a bad multiplier overall, but the fact that you have 2 of your leaders hitting for 16 times effective damage, yeah, that's just silly. Like, that's stupidly high amounts of damage value there. Obviously, the drawback is you need to bring enough skill boost and enough skill-bind resist. You need to counter being bound. Like, a lot of things can go wrong, but you have huge amounts of damage potential. In their evolved form, which is this one here, they've got triple skill boost and 3 void damage penetration awakenings. Oh my goodness, 2.25, 6.5. Wow, this is going to be the highest effective void damage penetration card in terms of universal damage without actually having to match like extra TPAs or funny other patterns. So huge amount of void damage penetration potential. It is fire based, so fire was somewhat lacking of a VDP card. Like some of the fire cards would gain VDP only through, say, Super Waking, so they have no value in co-op. Like Red Odin definitely works, but Suo is significantly stronger, and those are pretty nice awakenings overall. 3 skill boosts, so like Almond style farming teams are going to have a new best friend that you basically can utilize this card with a pretty strong active skill, because Almond can definitely activate easily off a tri-elemental board, and then you just use like an Ilmina style board changer for the VDP execution, or just a full board changer, 2 row forms to get the guaranteed 7 combos. Like, there's a lot of amazing things you can do definitely with this card. Their active skill is the exact same. Oh yeah, sorry, it's an Orb Unlock. I forgot to mention that. Orb Unlock makes it so the value for the active is much higher. Instead of 3 more turns for +1 combo count, you get +1 combo count and Orb Unlock. Leader skills reduce damage taken. Fire, water card attack when above 50%. Attack. That's 7... 14, 144 times attack. Is it just permanent damage reduction? If it's permanent damage reduction, that's pretty powerful overall. And then having multiple components can be good. So maybe it is passive damage overall. So they're going to be playing like Edward. The only drawback is Edward has double 7 combos, so he has personal damage output, whereas this card here does not have personal damage output outside of VDP. So your total damage output is going to be lower, but having multiple different components to your leader skill can be useful overall. Their active skill does produce a nice board. It doesn't give you the self-healing, which can be problematic. Edward's active skill gives the self-healing, so it allows you to sustain yourself when you fall low health. So he does have a little bit higher damage. Was it higher damage output than Edward? 714. Yes, it's higher damage. 14 times 14, I can't remember the math. Like, maybe around 180, 190 times attack. So higher damage output than Edward, but lower effective damage from their own personal attack. And then you also need to find red and water cards with 7 combo awakenings, which may be a little challenging overall. But again, this feels very much like Edward overall, which it can be quite exciting. And then this is the one-shot challenge dungeon reward. 8 row awakenings. Rows are not really necessarily in the meta at this point in time, but their active skills reduce health by 20%, deal a dinky amount of dark damage, and then change top row to dark. So dark Metatron teams can use this as an if it's inheritable. I'm not sure if it is. As a sub, it's not a god, so we can kind of ignore it. Otherwise, it's not going to be relevant overall as a card, unfortunately, in terms of active skill as a sub or as an inherit, possibly. Leader skill, no Skyfalls, fix 4 seconds matching, dark times 2. I don't know what the scaling is going to be, but you'll get 20 times attack, 40. That's a lot of damage, potentially. It's a huge amount of leader skill, but I have no idea how many combos you need to make in 4 seconds. Might have interesting applications in the future, who knows. Like, pretty crazy overall. So, this... basically, like, this whole Dragonbound Dragoncaller event is pretty spectacular, and it just makes this machine significantly more valuable and give you more chase cards potentially. Like, yes, you still should be ideally rolling for the 5-star cards because they're going to be much more common to acquire, and you're not going to be necessarily disappointed if your first Chazelle. It's going to make a big difference when you're pushing through challenging content, but just being able to roll for these new and exciting cards is definitely meaningful. But I don't want to stop this first impressions video now. I want to kind of just quickly explore and touch upon a few other buffs that are coming for here. So let me do that and take off that. So again, I'm using Reddit quite a bit for this thing here. So basically here, these are the big buffs happening to the Neys, the Cottons, Sonias, Mire, and just some more important things. So we're starting to see now a trend of 6-star Godfest exclusives gaining Super Awakenings, which means they also can be limit broken, so their weighted stats become even higher. And this is a big and exciting deal. So now we have the Mega Awoken Sonia. So their Awakenings, they don't have any net changed Awakenings overall. Basically, they go from double 50% bind immunity to 1 super bind immunity, which means they open up space for the voiceovers for their active skills. And this is going to be a common trend for a lot of these Godfest exclusive cards because they had 9 Awakenings, but in order to get the voiceover, they need another one. So they just combine, like say 2 skill boosts or 2 50% bind resist into 1 super awakening to get the same effect, so you're not losing any effective power overall. So with limit breaking, their stats are going to be even higher. She's going to have even more health, which is kind of cool. But their super awakenings become incredibly exciting. They can gain void damage penetration, L attack, tape resist. So both the Sonias actually gain the exact same limit breaking and void and super awakenings overall, and that's pretty exciting because they have double 7 combo, double L awakenings. So double 7 combo with void damage penetration puts them on par of Yusuke in terms of effective damage output when forming that box. Now, I don't think it's possible to hit 7 combos with an L and a box unless you have Skyfalls or plus combo counts. I'm not sure. I feel like the answer is going to be no, though. But if you are able to somehow get both of those components in there, that's a massive amount of effective damage against those spawns. But the big deal is the Mega Awoken Sonias are going to be gaining massive amounts of damage, but the fact that you have 2 leaders piercing through makes a big difference. And even though your multiplier is lower, it's going to be a little bit easier to pierce through, and it gives a lot of players a new option. And also another interesting thing is, obviously the board changer doesn't help for Blue Sonia, but at least it gives Joyra another option for VDP cards, because Joyra teams, depending on who they're paired with, lack VDP, which like Diablos Anubis does not. So again, opens up some possibilities, but as a leader, it gives them even more power and potency and more consistency if you're playing through things like Arena 3. Mire basically gets a huge change the world time buff. Most people hold the thing down anyway, so it's not necessarily that applicable. They're just gaining voiceover otherwise, so not that big of a buff in my opinion for Mire. So now Neys and Cotton. So the base forms of Neys and Cottons don't have limit breaking, and they don't get their super awakenings, and it'll be lost if you change the evolution. But once you push them into their evolved forms, you can limit break super awakening. But their base forms gain a significant buff overall. Their leader skill now goes from 8 to 9 times, if I'm not mistaken, so that's a pretty sizable buff overall, but they gain an extra 7 combo and extra team RCV for Ney. So now they're actually a pretty efficient leader overall, especially because we have even more Dragonbound Dragoncaller cards to stick in on your team as subs. And one other thing to keep in mind is that For ranking dungeons, Zeus versus tend to be one of the supreme choices for these super long dungeons without massive amounts of preemptives. But base Cotton, base Ney pairing can be somewhat possibly valuable. And with a higher base multiplier, this can potentially give you a little more flexibility and interesting team compositions. So Ney's now in their limit-breaking Super Awakening forms and whatnot. So now they have their double unbindable becomes super unbindable, so no net change there. You gain 1 team RCV, so that does definitely help out. Like, who doesn't want a bit of extra 10% healing output? I'll take it, no problem. Their Super Awakenings are VDP, Team RCV, Cloud Resist. So Cloud Resist, there's quite a few number of cards with Cloud Resist Super Awakenings. Team RCV, it may not necessarily be that amazing, but hey, it can work if you don't need VDP. So if you get VDP on your Neys, they have double 7 combo and double TPA. With this VDP, it now makes them like a Valentine's Ney. Obviously, they only work in solo mode for this void damage penetration aspect, but that's a huge amount of damage output potential. So this can definitely shake up and change some of your team compositions and might justify a slot for them on your team. So the Neys definitely did need a bit of a buff because Cotton unfortunately kind of pushed them out of relevancy by comparison. And then their leader skills go up from 7 to 8 times. So from 49 to 64 times attack, not bad. Unlimited amounts of movement time, great. But basically, it's a pretty strong buff. Dark Neys, they have more damage, maybe from 6 to 7, I don't recall. But then basically the exact same types of Super Awakenings and the limit breaking potential. But the big exciting part here is now that Cotton gets limit broken. And Cotton has largely replaced Ney because Cotton has follow-up attack. And follow-up attack is just so valuable overall. And with the limit breaking potential, it helps push their stats much higher. So it lets at least Blue Cotton try to compete a bit more effectively against Amatsu, which is nice because not everyone actually rolled an Amatsu. So again, their leader still got buffed from 8 to 9 times. They got the extra 7 combo and 1 Bind Heal Awakening. So again, base Cotton is a much more stronger leader by comparison. But now their evolved forms now could gain the +1 Bind Heal, so now they can clear Bind. So basically, I think Amatsu had Recover Bind Awakening as well, so now Cotton does. Pretty amazing overall. Like, it feels like Blue Cotton is now going to compete with Amatsu now for terms of like amazing follow-up attack Awakening cards. But it's now their limit-breaking Super Awakenings that puts them on a whole new level. So you can gain 7 combo, so now they're a triple 7 combo Awakening card. So if you never rolled Ideal and you play solo mode, those Cottons are going to be unbelievably unstoppable. Like, it'll be like, it's just crazy amounts of damage, but 8 times personal damage against any spawn with follow-up attack. They also gain VDP. There's lots of cards that can gain VDP, so I would honestly be leaning much more heavily towards 7 combo. Tape Resist, situational Super Awakening overall. You can find better options. Keep your Cotton. I would almost always want to take 7 combo unless you have no good void damage penetration Awakening card. With that being said, because Cottons can come in any color you want, being able to get a VDP in a color of your choice can also be invaluable. So again, it all depends on your own monster box and individual needs. Ideal, their leader skill is now buffed up. Maybe is it from 13 to 14? It's a buff. It's nice. Basically, they gain super unbindable for voiceover. Dark Ideal goes from maybe 15 to 16. It's a buff. Hey, why not? Dark Ideal is still a reasonably strong leader. It's a good stepping stone for players who don't have any other options, but that's a pretty sizable step up in terms of leader skill damage. The Weld Weapon Assist gains plus 100 attack, so now the card that he's assisted onto gains 100 more attack. Always helpful. Rathios, usually a much more lackluster card in terms of usage overall, but their weapon assist form gains +1 health. I believe that'll be 500 more health for the card that it's assisted onto, so hey, not a bad thing overall. Riku gains basically a blind, jammer, and poison resist, so with double Riku, you have 40% blocking of those types. Hey, not bad. If you're sticking on no Himes, which is not always an unusual thing on Riku teams, you just gained even more poison and blind resist, if I'm not mistaken. So great stuff overall. Lajua, their awakenings, we get super unbindable. Their thresholds reduced to 80%. I forgot what they had, but limit breaking, VDP, skill boost plus, and 80% boost. So again, it depends what you really need. Do you need a dark base card that has void damage penetration? Do you get more skill boost? It all depends, again, on your own personal situation, what you actually need. They gain the exact same type of Super Awakenings in either evolved form, but still a lot stronger overall. Like, it's just a nice buff, but Ladra is still, I think, a little lackluster, unfortunately. Distil gets limit breaking. I almost only use Distil as a inherit, but hey, I'll take more stats, why not? They get L attack, so they get even more L attacks. That'll be 4 L attacks. Super unbindable, cloud resist. Makes them a little more justifiable on blue Sonia teams. Praline gets another God Killer Devil or L shield. That's huge because she had double God, double Devil Killer already. Now she can gain, basically in solo mode, she's like number 6's God killing potential or Chazelle's Devil killing potential with the chance to kill the other spawn even more effectively. So hey, big buffs all around. Was there anything important here? Nope, basically just reiterating that the Dragonbound Dragon Caller is 10 stone rare machine. There are now 5 7-star cards, 9 6s, 7 5s, 10 stones per roll. But again, it's an incredibly high value event overall, and it's definitely worth pursuing. So yes, this video is quite long. There's lots of content to cover. North America should be having this in approximately 2 to 3 months after Japan has their event go live. So honestly, you should really just start saving up your magic stones at this point in time because we kind of now know what the next big event is going to be. So let me know what you think about all of these new changes in the comments below. I will include in the YouTube description the links to all these Reddit pages as well, so you can always look around at your own pace. Hopefully you all have a fantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pet adventures, and happy puzzling.